never in the second place. Pop off for the home team, always, always. I want to build a conclave for the black babies in the hallway. Tell them dream big, go the long way. Cause the word is yours like when I say. Cause they don't tell you it could be like this. But this squad only come with the hits. Times get tough and keep your wits. Can't let no evil touch these lips. We don't take no defeat like this. Who you know with the heat like this? Who you know when they beat like this? And we like this. Cause we blackity black. Please step back. I like my hair like that. Touch it and get smacked. We got the map. We gotta keep it on track. We blackity black. Please step back. I like my hair like that. Touch it and get smacked. We got the map. We gotta keep it on track. Running ahead and I'm yelling Geronimo. All of my power come right out my follicles. I got it online like my hair be. They scared of we. Beware of we. Who you know go and turn nothing to something. We steady thriving. They thought we was crumbling. All around the world our music bumping. That's humbling to see. We don't succumb to defeat. Even with crumbs at our feet. We making waves in the streets. We made a way in the streets. All of my people gon' eat. We on the way to the feast. While bumping this heat and patting these twists on beat. Move too slick, no grease. Push through, make it look easy. Cause we blackity black. Please step back. I like my hair like that. Touch it and get smacked. We got the map. We gotta keep it on track. We blackity black. Please step back. I like my hair like that. Touch it and get smacked. We got the map. We gotta keep it on track.
Blackity black. Please step back. I like my hair like that. Touch it and get smacked. We got the map. We got to keep it on track. We blackity black. Please step back. I like my hair like that. Touch it and get smacked. We got the map, we gotta keep it on track, yeah. We black and we proud. Go tell your sons and your daughters to stand tall and always remind them of who they are. The sky's the limit and none of that can change when God is in it. Often imitate and never duplicated melanin. Take a look at the world, man, we always in. Woo! I'm black and I'm proud. I used to say my hair was so nappy. Now I embrace the beauty that flows out of me. From the top of my head to the sole of my feet. And you know you can't check me. You like my hair straight, I said take that to Becky. That's a wrap for this verse. Cause we blackity black. Please step back. I like my hair like that. Touch it and get smacked. We got the map, yeah, we gotta keep it on track. We blackity black. Please step back. I like my hair like that. Touch it and get smacked. We got the map, yeah, we gotta keep it on track. We blackity black. Please step back. I like my hair like that. Touch it and get smacked. We got the map, yeah, we gotta keep it on track. We blackity black. Please step back. I like my hair like that. Touch it and get smacked. We got the map, yeah, we gotta keep it on track, yeah.
Who got that range? Who brought them chains? Went through the maze. Came out the end into some brighter days. Getting win after win. They thought it was a base, but now I ain't a phase. Leave them in the days. This ain't for play. This have been a way. This is for the days when you thought she wasn't gonna make it. But look, ma, we made it. We won it, we take it. We stay on this ground, and this ground don't get shaky. We shape but the babies don't never get flaky. Don't mind if you hate me. Can't nobody take me. Maybe I shouldn't be so blatant, but blatantly, who care about what you say to me patiently? We've been moving up the ladder so faithfully. We've been pushing through disasters so frequently. Sweet like roses, we stand tall with this. Free like Moses, act like you know this. Sweet like roses, we stand tall with this. Free like Moses, act like you know this. Black, 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 black.
Black, 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 black,
Black, black, black, black, black, black.
black, 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 black,
Black, black, black, black, black, black.
black, 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 black,
Black, black, black, black, black, black.
yeah.
Black, black,
Black,
black, black.
black, black,
Black, black,
black,
black,
black,
black.
black, black.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another conversation here at the. Thank you for joining us, for tuning in. This week, conversation closing out section conversations, Black History Month, and we kind of wanted to end this with like a sort of a full circle moment. For those of you who don't know, this page, this channel, this podcast, it started with us talking about my black. It wasn't planned. It was just happened based off of what had been happening, outlet, and decided to go. And what better way to close out Black History Month than talking about what it's like to be Black in America. There's been a lot of changes over the years as you look back through today, but there's ultimately a lot that hasn't changed, a lot that still exists. And we're talking about it from the aspect of I'm Black and I'm proud, because as Black people, things that we experience, we have a lot of things that are shared experience, then a lot of different experiences. But one of the more commonalities that we have is oppression. Honestly, there's not really any nice or cute way to say it, and it's different for different people in different environments. But that's one of the commonalities. And honestly, I mean, for me at least, like everybody else, sometimes I find it hard to take pride in something that causes me. Wanted to kind of talk about this is my experience, not the Black experience, but it's my Black experience. And in spite of this, because of this, I'm so proud to be. Wanted to show that as people are part of a common culture, differences that make us all unique, proud of. And I think it's just a great opportunity for all of us, especially those who are different race, to learn about another culture. So without further ado, I'll kick it off. Tom, he's going to open us up with some prayer. Go.
All right. Thank you, God, for this time. Thank you for the ability to have a platform we can have these types of conversations, share, and be able to understand one another. I ask that everyone listening, watching the show is able to come in and learn something they didn't know before and take that out as pray. Amen.
Amen. So I'm about to kick us off with like a little icebreaker. But before I do, I want to tell everybody, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're streaming, share this so we can get as much engagement in the comments as we want to hear from you. Questions or comments about. But so one of the things that I've seen on Facebook with this meme is like, don't take my Black card, but and the person that I see posting it the most, he always puts, I don't know how to play spades, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy because facts. So I wanted to icebreak us with that. Don't take my Black card, but Tom, you want to start?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, throw you on the spot. Like, don't take my Black card, but
That's crazy. That play.
that was a layup.
I guess, but yes. Yup, two times.
That's okay. That's more than some people.
It
There's more
is,
than
though. It is. So I'm a little too pride. What y'all talking?
I see that one a lot too, where people are like, I don't know how to play spades. And I'm like, it's literally an app on your phone. You have no excuse that will walk you through step by step.
Right.
Like, if you don't know how to play
No,
spades,
I know how to play spades. I just haven't.
Oh, so you don't like spades?
No, I do. I just like people.
okay.
Like when I play, it was like because I was playing church elder, older Black. These are like veterans, and my church elder, like he was on my type of stuff. It's a nerve-wracking thing. Even though I know how it works, that's what I mean.
Okay.
About two times.
I guess I'll go next. Don't take my Black card, but I don't.
What?
So look, this is how smooth I am though. People start talking about Prince or Michael Jackson. Like I know enough to finesse in a conversation. Like, but yeah, nah, I don't listen at all.
I'm good with my little two. Take a deep breath.
It's physically hurting me to let these slide. Like, it's physically hurting me.
Right. It's good. No. And that's true. I mean, within, spades is you can get away with that because it's like spades is like a glorified I declare war. You know what I'm saying? That's what I always tell people. If you know how to play I declare war, you can play spades. So I don't get the big hype about spades, that's just personally me. But Prince and Michael, that's a whole different ballpark. But like I said, to each his own. Like, you know, your level of sophistication, you know, just your tailored mind, your tailored like likes and attributes. Some people just like me. I can play spades really well, but I'd rather not. Like, if everybody's like, "Yo, we go and play spades," I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." Like Prince, I love Prince. I love Michael, but like, I'm unless somebody plays it, I'm never gonna put on Prince. I'm with you. Like, it's just like,
Oh wow.
I'm not. I mean, I've just never been a fan really of Prince, honestly. You know,
Yeah.
Michael on the other hand, that's a whole different story. You know, but
So I like with you, Prince is the same for me. It's like I never really been a fan. With Michael, it is a whole different story. And for me, when I was growing up, like the first music video of Michael Jackson that I remember seeing, Thriller. And like I don't do scary movies, scary stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And between seeing Thriller and hearing like different stories in the news about him touching little kids, like I used to like have I guess they're not nightmares because I was wide awake, but like when I would shower, I used to like terrified that he was just gonna appear. And so I never really rock with dude. It was just too many things going on. I'm like, you're good.
I mean, hey, you was traumatized.
Yeah. What about you, Miss Janae?
Yeah, don't leave us hanging out here.
Okay, I actually have a couple buts, but I'll give y'all one. I don't take my black card, but I don't like rap music, like of any kind,
Like at all, like none of it.
like at all. Like
Like not even a certain artist.
90s, nothing.
I know them and I'm cool with them when they come on, you know, got the little bebop. But like my go-to, if I'm by myself, you will never hear rap music of any kind. Like, if I have a choice in it, it's never rap. Like if I do, then of course I prefer the older stuff than the newer stuff. And because I'm black, I'm able to like say like that's a good rapper or that's a bad rapper. But I don't like it. Like it's not my preference.
Really quick. So one of our viewers on Twitch was asking, do you dislike it or you just don't enjoy it?
Both.
A little bit of both.
It's both.
That's
Yeah, it just doesn't move me any way, shape, or form. Like I said, I know like the popular rappers, especially the ones that came up in the 90s, early 2000s. I can even, you know, go with the
I have
song.
so many
But
questions. Like there's
No, that's how it is.
like Christian rap, like any type of rap, I just don't. It just, all right, it doesn't move me. I
and
don't
there's
know.
like not a single artist who has a song where it's like, yo, okay, this is my joint.
She said no.
Is it merged like rap, like hip hop, rap, hip hop? Like, is it like Southern rap? I mean, contemporary rap? Like, I mean, I know you can rap, but then you might say one of your favorite songs, and we'll put it. We would like, that's a rap song, and you'd be like, oh, I didn't think that was a rap song.
Right, like okay, so I'll give you an example. So like I'll throw it back. So like Nelly, Hot in Here, like everybody likes that song. If that comes on, I'm good. You know, I got all the lyrics, got the dance moves, all of that. But when I'm by myself, when I get in the car, I'm not like, I really want to hear some rap. Like, nah, it's just not gonna happen. Like,
Okay,
Okay.
I feel that.
So you
I understand
like
where you
it.
come from. I get it.
So
No,
this
word.
was all a trick to find out whose black card we're taking, and it's yours.
Don't even go yet. Hold on.
listen to Michael and Prince though. I listen to Michael and Prince though.
See, yeah, you can't. Yeah, you.
Hey, don't-
If we talk about music, I don't know if it's hard over you.
I
I
literally
mean,
any
got
other type.
Kanye still in here. The GOAT.
Right.
I thought this was a judgment-free zone. I feel
It
very
is.
good.
Oh man.
So was that your leading off one? You said you had a couple. I mean, was it like? I mean, I don't know. That's
I feel
Yeah,
like
go back to that.
Yeah, nah,
She
that's
good.
she
she good.
Oh man.
All right,
No.
Joe.
You know what's crazy about that? Like even that statement, I think about it all the time. But like honestly, from like just how I was raised, like I'm not trying to be like impartial or something like that, but when it comes to and almost any subject, like I love everything. Food. I love all. I've pretty much seen every black movie. I've done everything. I enjoy almost everything. So it's like when everyone out, when you was prompting me on that, and I was just like, it's hard for me to prompt myself on it besides just like knowing certain, like all the words to a certain song, like a popular hip hop or R&B song that everybody knows. Like I won't know all the words. It's just I can't. I just never studied every word. And like when it comes to like a popular like classic 90s dance or something like that, or 2000s dance, I might not have never studied it, or I can't might execute it properly. But when it comes to the actual phrase of "don't take my black card," it seems like those things that apply to me comes into like a deeper story where somebody was like, "I'm gonna take your black card for this, Joe," when Kanye West said, slavery was a choice. And I had a conversation. I was like, yeah, in a sense it is, and then somebody said that to me. It was like, Joe, you gotta go. Like, you ain't even black no more.
Right.
That goes off to a whole deeper subject matter. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's kind of funny.
It only goes deeper for those who need explaining. I understand your agreement, sir. Okay.
Right.
100. So basically, he said, "My black card is mine. Can't nobody take it."
Yeah, so we all over here as peasants, and Joe is the African deity. And
No, and that's not even that's not even the case. I'm sure friends of mine are probably watching this, like, "Oh, Joe, don't even do this. Joe don't even put hot sauce on his pig feet." And I'm like, I probably ain't had pig feet enough to put hot
I don't
sauce on.
do hot sauce or pig's feet.
I don't know. I mean, I've had chitlins. I had pig feet. I'll eat it if people cook it the right way. Even if it's nasty one time, I'll still eat it from somebody else's mom.
yeah.
I don't know the right way to cook pig. Like,
Yeah.
so we're going to move in a little bit to the deeper thing. We spent more time there than I anticipated, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good.
So in moving into the deeper thing, what does it mean to how does your understanding what it means to affect the pride or don't take? Yeah, like I know that I've been thinking about that, and honestly, I like what does it mean to be black? That's like kind of my answer. I was I was I was born this way, and my I guess it's different cultures that I picked up as a black man growing up around a lot of black people in an area where there were very few black people. So it's a very interesting question that I haven't quite pinned down. So very interesting what you guys have.
Well, for me, it's an honor. Honestly, I think in order as a person and especially as a Christian, you have to know where you came from and whose you are to appreciate where you're going fully. And for me, a part of that is my identity as a black person. Um, Being black is lit. Like I said, like there's so many people, like especially with the internet now, that I didn't grow up with. We grew up in different cities, but we had so many similar experiences that I can meet you and like instantly feel like home. And to me, that's an honor. If I can walk into a room and without saying anything, I have a connection with somebody that we can share an inside joke and don't nobody else know that we're doing it. Like I adore being black. Like it literally the only way that I can sum it up is that it's an honor because I truly believe that God, who has the rainbow to work with, decided to give me this color skin. Like, thank you. That's
Yeah,
that's it. Thank you. Like I believe that even that serves a purpose, and for me, that makes me like proud um, that he decided that that's gonna be me.
That's a good way of looking at it too.
Yeah.
From a standpoint where they decided to give me, and I feel like personally, there's so much strength that comes with this skin that it really is an honor when you think about it. Like you thought that I would be able to handle this, so you
Right.
gave me this
Yeah.
skin. You thought that I would be able to handle all this generational stuff that still happens to this day. Like, yeah. That's I've always thought that is that it's an honor, and there's being black strength, even in weakness and vulnerability, there's an inherent connection. But I've never thought about it from a standpoint, yo, God thought that I could handle. That's dope. That's dope way.
And not to change up anything that you said because that's not what I'm doing, but I wanted to add something to it for anybody who's doing this that isn't a Christian and doesn't believe in God the way you do or I do. Whatever creator you believe in made you in that skin. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. But that's all you said. You had something. You look like you had something else to say where I started speaking.
I did, but honestly, I forgot it, so it wasn't important. It's
It'd be
okay.
like that.
That happens a lot when I'm around. I talk a lot. So Mr. Joe, I'm gonna let you speak because I was gonna talk a lot.
That it's interesting. I always find myself in these conversations just with my buddies and just different people in general because it's so funny because a lot of people just because I don't know if it, just culturally wise or how I'm raised, but like a lot of different people always want to pick my brain at these these topics, that we're gonna talk about today. So like when I always thinking about like being like a black person, it doesn't like it really didn't hit me like being a black person until like later down the road, like college, high school, like way down there, like graduating, being black, and just not even being black. Like it, I'm not even gonna say I became like this thing that we call black. You know what I'm saying? But it kind of, in a sense, I grew into the term black, and it's like if you go around the world, like certain people just do not, even though they're the same color as me. I've been into certain ordeals where someone's parents might not have liked me being black, but they were the same color as me, but they weren't African American black, or in that sense. And the whole term of like being black is like now I see term black as the only group that is using it is the group that is here in America, or the people with this skin color or close to it that has had a previous culture stripped away and is reinventing themselves within a culture. So it's like when I go into, like, if you go into Dubai and you see all these foreigners, driving their cars, like all these super cars, right?
Yeah.
And then you see this one like Ford Mustang, everybody's like, yo, that is crazy. Something totally different, something that we don't see before. But, Ford is technically, a foreign, place. It's its own culture. It's an American thing, but it still drives the attention and drives demand because they bring a product that those Italians and Germans aren't offering, within cars. So like being black, like it's a sense of pride, but it's always been a sense of like, I would never, like, everybody has always, like, if you were to reincarnate into another race or another person, like I would always choose to be black again, because it's just like who I am. It's just, I feel like there's no other way. Like it feels so natural. It feels good to be who I am. But at the same time, it's a journey. Like like I said, I say being black as an American, as like an American black, is a totally different, but it's a journey of brand identity, and understanding brand identity is very important for future, for your present, your mindset, like understanding who you are just as anybody, as a Christian, as anybody, is so important to you being happy, to be fulfilled, to be, successful in your future, is to actually know who you are and where you come from. And so being black, a lot of people struggle with that because they just don't have anything to latch onto. Cultural, a couple hundred years ain't nothing compared to every other, group there is. So now we are thriving in so many other aspects of sports, uh, music, of everything, just thriving everywhere. And it's just like, man, we could do so much impact in such little time with no backing, no one to back us, and I feel like there's a big sense of that kind of pride of being the original originators, if that makes sense. Like, we are the first generation of our culture, even though there's been generations, but our black now is not the same exact black that it was 400 years ago. But we are, like I said, we are building our culture as we speak, which is so unique. And I think that's like the biggest thing about being black, is that we are the foundation.
I never heard no one say that before.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, but that's dope. That's so true. Think about, I know we don't all like rapping here, but if you think about rap as a whole,
We
coming
don't like rap.
but like coming up in as this new art form, late 70s, now it's worldwide, it's global. Everywhere you go, everyone knows what rap music. Everyone's trying to emulate rap or the style of hip hop, and it's just like we made that. It's not even 100 years old. Like, it's one of the youngest things out, and we just made it. It's everywhere. So that was the
That's what I love
original
about
originators.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, that's fast.
Like that.
But that's what I love about being black, and that's why it makes me feel honored, because literally everything we touch turns to gold. Like, it doesn't matter what we do, it always becomes like, it always gets imitated in some way, shape, or form. We literally created every single genre of music. And like, when we get tired of it, we just hand it off to whoever stole it and we create something else. We're like, all right, you gonna steal that? Not give us credit? Okay, cool. Well, then I'm gonna make this new thing. I'm gonna steal that too. Like, that's how rap came about. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Even that, it was like, okay,
checks out.
yeah.
It's true, though.
Like,
That's
okay, Elvis Presley, you gonna take rock and roll from us? Okay, cool. Well, we gonna do this then now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, we're always, like he said, like, we're always just like reinventing ourselves constantly.
Sure.
the life. Yeah, and I agree. I wouldn't trade it. And I think about that sometimes because it's like, if someone gave me a choice to go back and it could be another race, I think about it, and on paper, like, it sounds nice because like,
It sounds
it's okay. I don't have to do this no more. I could probably have this
solid credit.
Yeah, like, everybody's looking at me crazy, but then I'm just like, I can't. How could you? Could you be anything other? Like, yeah,
It's so funny because I think about the kind of person that I am, and I think that, like, for me, if I were white and I was still this person, that'd be extra weird. Whereas, like, who I am now, it's just like, yo, extra cool. Did you hear the difference in the way I said those things? No, stop. Go ahead.
This guy's in there.
That's
So,
facts.
anyways, moving on a little bit. Since we're talking about skin color, how has the color of your skin affected the way you enter relationships or work environments? Me personally, I didn't start like really realizing I was black till the murder of Mike Brown. All of the fallout from that, understanding people's true nature, really pushed me into trying to understand who I was. Um, so before that, like, I always knew I had black skin and I was not the same as people, but my skin almost made me try extra hard, disguise myself something else in order to fit in with different groups. even in work environments. Everyone has it. Let me put on my white voice, my corporate voice, or whatever you call it, so that I can be accepted here and I can shed this skin as much as I can to be what I thought was normal in America. So, so how is your skin kind of affected you and how you enter in a relationship? Whoever want to
Go ahead, Janae. You got it.
go.
Right. Um, so I am dark skinned. I am not Kelly Rowland dark skin. I am Lupita Nyong'o dark skin and have been my entire life. I am the darkest person on in my family, in my immediate and extended family. And so there is a whole journey that could take whatever long to talk about in learning to love me, because even inside of my own culture, um, there was a lot of hatred. I've experienced over the course of my life more colorism than racism, but colorism and racism are siblings. Like, you can tell they got the same mother and father, but they don't look alike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so for me, that's the way that I have that's my experience. Now, how that is played into like jobs and relationships is really just like being aware. Like, I was made aware very early that I was black. And then when I was made aware, I had many questions from my parents about, like, well, why are you guys not as dark as me? Well, why am I this color? And I remember coming home from school as early as first or second grade crying because someone called me black, and I didn't know what that meant, but I knew it wasn't good. And I carried that for over 10 years, trying to figure out what that meant. And that took, like Dom was saying, like a lot of like, at first I tried to hide from it, tried to pretend like that wasn't me, tried to do the direct opposite. But it took time for me to come into my own and really just accept it and find the good in it. I've been in corporate America for over 10, off and on over 10 years. And I did the whole code switching thing. And it wasn't until last year, like summertime last year, that I was like, I'm not code switching anymore. Y'all gonna get what you get. And that's just what it is. Like, as long as I'm being professional and I am like doing my job to my best capacity, I'm not code switching for y'all anymore. For what? Like, what's the benefit for me? There is none. Like, y'all are gonna get Janae the way that any other like professional setting gets Janae. And I'm not gonna change that anymore. And it's been honestly very liberating. There's times where I'm like, ooh, was that too black? Or ooh, did I do too much? And I'm like, nope. Or if it was, guess what? They'll tell me, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? We'll have that conversation about why it wasn't or whatever. And I'm ready to, defend myself or whatever. But I would say, to answer the question more directly, it did affect the places that I went and things that I did and relationships that I had, but no longer. I'm not doing it anymore. Life is too short and I want to experience life to the fullest. And I don't want to ever look back on my life and be like, I wish I did, or I wish I, did this or went here or did those things. And even if it is a barrier, one thing that is for sure and very prevalent in the Black community is that we overcome, regardless. And so even if it's something small down to like a job that I want, or something large of being the first Black, whatever it is, I'm not going to stop or limit myself anymore because of the color of my skin, period.
One of the things that you said that I think about often when I think about often, period, because of a lot of the conversations that I have with people of other races, mostly white people. And it's about like kind of the code switching aspect, like, or not even that. When you said, "Ooh, was that too black?" And it's like how much of a thing it is for us as black people to try to like tone down the black for your comfortability. And it's like you don't even like that's part of your privilege is you don't even realize that that's a thing. Like we don't want to be what we know you perceive as too black sometimes. And to your point, to get to that place where it's like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like it is very liberating when you're just like, yo, I'm me. you know.
I think for me, I carried around so much weight and so much pressure of trying to like um not necessarily not be too black, but like be to like get to disarm other people's stereotypes of black people. And
Yeah.
so it was like, don't wear your hair like this, not because I don't like it, but because, you know, this person may think da 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 da,
Yeah.
or don't eat this, or don't do this, or don't act that way, or don't, you know, stand up for yourself because they may think da 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 da. And I think for me, like, I realized, especially last year, like I said, like, I can't carry around that weight because their thoughts of me is not my business.
Right.
Like it's just not. And I can't carry around that weight for the rest of my life and like be afraid to not do something or to do something and second guess it just because they may think that all black people are like this. Listen, if that's what they think, then that's literally their problem. Like I can't hold on to that anymore. And I can't not be or not do what I want to do just to make sure that the person who comes behind me doesn't get stereotyped.
Yeah.
If they're not going to take the time to be educated and to challenge their own like thinking and ways of thinking like I had to about like being black, then
Yeah.
that's on them. They're limiting their self to like a small group of people and they can't experience the full dopeness that is people who are black and Asian and Indian and all these other things. That's literally their loss, not mine.
I needed that mind for college because I was doing the most in college trying to fit in.
Right.
Oh man,
Be like that, you know, it's like um for me, one of the things that kind of to help, because like you said, you know, the Mike Brown, whenever we're talking on this subject, I kind of tell this same story. But for me, you know, I spent the former years of my life around like nothing but black. Like there was white people in the family, and I would, but you know, we only saw them at holidays, and like I knew that they were white, and I knew that I was black, but being around nothing but black people all the time, there wasn't really any difference, you know. And then when we moved up north to Fredericksburg, where it's like predominantly white, it was like I think it was my first or second day of school. Some kid said to me, he's like, "Well, at least my mom's not black," and it took me like a year or two to realize that that was an insult because like when he said it, I'm like, "Well, duh, I'm black, so of course my mom's black." Like, oh, he was being racist in the seventh, sixth grade. That's what's going on. You know, like I didn't know. But even still, it was like he's just idiot, right? And then like Dom, like I guess maybe all of us or most people trying to fit in different places, and whether it's as a black person or as a woman or as whatever it is. You know, that was kind of my life where it's just like going with the flow. So between that and growing up around black people and whitewashed history, right? So the way history was taught to me, um, thank you, Virginia, was basically slaves were people desperate to leave their filthy country and like be rescued by these great saviors. And so it was like I didn't really understand our history. So everything that was happening, anytime somebody was like, "Yo, that's a little racist," that's a little like, man, just leave all that. Like, stop it, man. You're doing like you're making things racist. And so it's like it's okay if white people use the N word. Like that's like it's not a racist thing. And then I remember when it hit me, is you're black. I was out with a buddy of mine in the Navy, and this dude was like obliterated, and the cops started harassing him. And I don't like. I pride myself on not having been indoctrinated in the military, right? Like I really do. But the moment that it like came back, like dog, you black, was a moment of indoctrination shining through. One of the things that taught us shipmates help shipmates. Anytime your shipmates in trouble, you find out what's going on, you help him out. And this dude is being, I mean, he was being harassed by the police. That's what was happening. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And it was almost like, nigga, like, yo, so, you know, the cop yoked me up. I got tased. I was like, you know what? I'm black. And once that hit me, I just like, sat still and was just peaceful and calm. And I was like, yo, I'm black. This could turn into a whole nother thing. Let me relax. And from there, it still took time for me to get to this place of like really discovering blackness and my blackness. And like with Dom, it was when Mike Brown was murdered. And so the way that it's impacted um our relationships and work environments and all those different things, I'm I've grown to be a pretty big anti-racist, right? Like I'm not putting up with it. I'm not tolerating it. And so one of the things that I found, a lot of people that I spent a lot of time with and what's called friends are racist, right? Like I mean, there's really no way around it. Like they're racist, and there are some who aren't quite racist, but they're not empathetic enough to be anti-racist, which probably is worse than the racist. And so like just the total impact is this beautiful awareness of myself, of my people, of my culture, and this painful awareness. Yikes, tragic. See, it's like it's crazy when you do life with somebody in any capacity, and then you find out like, oh, this is how you think of me. you know, especially the ones from the church, but probably a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Joe, you go ahead, bro. Look.
Oh, no, you don't want me. We're gonna need a whole day dedicated to this.
Okay, well let's get into as much as we
already
can.
know. You already know. Man, I mean, like I said, I could go on about relationships in this experience. I can talk about the work experience, the work world, and in that aspect, I think maybe since Sinead talked about it, maybe I can elaborate about it. But like to be short, it's so many experiences. Like me, it's just I didn't understand things until they happened to me, and I'm just like so confused. Just from even relationships into someone's parents say, oh, just because he's this color, he's not going to be anything. He's not. You need to get rid of him because literally he's going to mooch off of you for the rest of your life. He's not going to get a job. He's not going to be anything like that. I'm just like, I'm striving to get his degree. I'm graduating with 3 different degrees, and I'm about to I'm like in my head, I'm just like, that's not me, And what's crazy is that like even past that relationship, like I went into like full force. I'm like, all right, that's what's gonna happen. Like I'm past that relationship, but even that same mother is in my head, just whispering like you ain't gonna be nothing, to making me strive to go and get that $100,000 job. And I was like, yo, if I pull up to buy her mom again, like this, I want to have a whip ready. I wish she seen my checkbook right now. I was always like, man, I wish she works at my bank and she sees my name. Like, in that kind of aspect of drive that I had then, and I was just working, grinding. It is, come to so many ins and outs of, I've been in the same, situation with you, that just being Black, and then in a relationship that society says I probably shouldn't be in, getting so much lashback by police, by people around me, by my own race, by the opposite race, and it's just like that the effects on it that it had, like I said, I'm leaning back, I'm really go with the flow, but it just seems like the stress it put on everybody else is just like, seems like such a hassle. And so like how it changed my outlook on different things, on relationships in the future, I've kind of tailored myself to like, oh, I already know how this is gonna go. Even though it might not be that same situation, but what I've dealt with already, and the hassles and the years and the heartaches and tears and the craziness, it's just like, I want to talk generally, just because I don't want to get into specifics. If we need to, we can. But it in those circumstances, when we learn, it puts forth effort for us to drive and not retain the same, not mistakes, but same instances where we are in extreme stress or in discomfort or things that was not normal. And like I'll go into the fact of being in being in culture within corporate America, being black, coming to some things, yeah, appraisal, like, oh yeah, I like your hair braided, or yeah, I like how you're doing this, or they like to say certain things like that, but they don't understand where it comes to, okay, why is it that they had to say somebody was like, okay, I like how you did your hair this way, you did it very professionally. And it's just like somebody saying that to me was like, okay, what was I gonna wear that was unprofessional? What about black people? Because I knew, I mean, even though that person wasn't a black person, but they're saying it to me like I was already gonna come in a way that wasn't presentable off the jump. So it's just like, okay, I understand. All right. And within even success, okay, certain people, even in certain jobs, and I like to use this term, I don't know if you guys have heard it, I call it the good old boy jobs, where it's the people of color are not really in power. They not in power, but in leadership. And they have old ways, like a couple of 100 years ago, maybe a couple of years back, how they run things and still kind of run the same way. That's going to be more of your vocational jobs where maybe blue collar and different things like that, working, different places where I was working, making great money. But when it comes to a young black person on their grind and working very hard, they're not used to, they're used to, sitting back, eating their lunch boxes, got 4 or 5 lunches in it, not doing any kind of work, being very lazy and still making a lot of money promoting up. But when they see, a black person working very hard, actually not even doing too much, but just doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, me going above and beyond, I wanted to, any job I do, I always try to do the best and as much as I can to show off and show out, just because if I'm there, I want to promote as fast as possible. I want to, do everything, learn everything, show them that I can be a go-getter. But in those jobs like that, those good old boy jobs, these big Fortune 500 companies, which I worked for, they do not like that. They get so intimidated and so scared to the point where I've sat in almost probably, I would say almost on both hands, where I had to sit in a meeting for somebody that was ahead of me, that their job was in jeopardy of me, coming into their, into a promotion, taking their job, which they ended up trying to frame me for something that I didn't do. They've got multiple people trying to get me, fired, kicked out of a job just because. And I've seen it. They're gonna like, and it's in certain points. It's so funny, and that's one of the reasons why I left that job, is because when you're openly, I don't want to say racist, but I want to say ignorant, and you can openly say you're gonna let that black boy come up here and be in charge of all of us. They are so comfortable that the supervision on top of their supervisor on top of that supervisor, the managers, the top of the top, even HR is going to have their backs, is where you're just like, wow, I'm at a table where this person just outed me like that, and no one is blinking an eye. No one wants to put up, I want to, file an email, about what was just happened. A supervisor called me boy in front of 3 different units and called me out, stood up to me, he said, hey, get out my shop. You're not welcome here. And I'm telling people, I said, okay, there's different people here, witness this happen. Can you get on this email I'm going to send up? They're like, if we put our names on the email, we're going to get fired with you, bro. We don't want to do that. We need this job. Yeah, it's a $100,000 job, but and there's people, you need the, once you get into a job like that, you set yourself up for a certain lifestyle. Yes. And these people want to cling to that. And that's why they like hiring certain black people, because they're going to be quiet. certain, black people, they said, oh, this person's going to be, quiet, and they're going to, do what they tell them. We can manipulate them. We can put them on as many hours as we can. But me coming into that, understanding, there's these people that will go to church with you. And I'm telling you, they are in our churches. They're in these, Pentecostal, these predominantly black churches too, doing the same stuff. And it's just like, you don't know what's happening until you get in there. And it's hard, because it's now I'm being conscious of the types of teams I work with now. For the new jobs I get into, how is my supervisor? What is my supervisor above her? How are they protecting my way of living? What kind of jobs, what connections do they have to preserve who I am to be successful? Can I be successful in here? And it's so crazy how that all comes back to just a skin color. Yeah, I might be better at the job. I might not be better at the job. I might be just as good, but I got to be pushed back because of a color. And it's intimidating. And so that's like my whole effect on within that work life and relationships, is that understanding where I stand in the world is still a struggle. And I have to be conscious of where I choose to go is now the effect that I have from my past experiences.
You have to go into just about everything completely conscious, everything that's happening, of everything that could happen, everything that has a chance of happening. Like you can't just walk into a new job, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to get down and get to work. Like, you got to start scanning the room. You got to know, okay, this person looks like they might be on some stuff. I need to keep my eye on them. This person might set me up somewhere down the line because they look like they want to get promoted, and I know what I'm doing. They looking at me funny. I got to keep my eye on them too. Like, you have to think about so many things just to get up and go to work in the morning. Like, on top of what your actual job duties are, I got to think about all this stuff too. I got to make sure I say the right thing to this manager because he's going to make my life hell if I don't, only because I'm black.
One of the things, like right before I moved up, I used to be a truck driver. And like my second to last day driving, I was out in North Carolina. And there was this car where this woman was trying to like get into my lane. But I didn't know she didn't have her blinker on. And the way I understand driving is like, when you want to let people know you're getting over, you turn that blinker on, right? So like, I'm just driving, cooling, and next thing I know, like, because I'm scanning the road, I see her speed up, and then she goes to cut me off. But she didn't speed up enough to the point that I like had, like my reaction, right? So I had to either slam on the brakes, which somebody was riding me, it would have been an accident, or just hurry up and switch lanes. So I did. I switched lanes and just after it kept moving. And I'm not thinking about this woman at all because she was trying to get over, but didn't let it be known. She finally got over. It is what it is. I'm moving on. 10 minutes later, I look to my left and the woman is riding like this, like recording me. I let my wife know. I'm like, yo, I'm pretty sure I'm about to go viral. Karen is next to me. And it's like, I always, like anytime I was going to get in the truck, that's one of the things that I thought about, especially being in the Carolinas and down south and Georgia and all that. Like, yo, I'm in this truck in the company that I worked for. Most of the places that I was going to, it wasn't like some big hub where people from all over are going there. It's like out in the cut, So that's my nice way of saying it was mostly white and in towns where mostly Black people weren't, right? So it was already uncomfortable, and then having to navigate those things, and it's like there's, like Dom just said, there's just so much that comes with being Black to start your day, to go throughout your day, that I feel like we often, like, well, not we have to, but it gets overlooked often, like just skin color, like, yeah, but
you would think
there's a little bit more for us. Like, it's crazy.
So let's skip for. Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was saying it feels good, once you find like, within, I'm doing a lot of facilitation right now with the job I'm working with the government. I'm doing a lot of teaching, and my crew is, my main group that is working for our company. I mean, we're recognized nationwide, and you know, everybody, we're getting all these recommendations, we're getting all these like approvals and different things like that. And I'm, you know, getting sent off working with other groups because you know we're getting all these honors for you know our teaching methods and our compatibility with different groups for facilitation. And you know, I get sent off to another group. I'm meeting somebody in Florida I've never met before, and I'm helping them out. I get out of my rental, and first thing they see, they're like, "Oh my God, yes!" So I'm so thankful they sent a black person here. Thank you so much. Like another black lady, they're like, "Man, I'm so happy to see." They sent us their number one person. I wasn't really expecting you, a 6'4", you know, 265-pound black guy, you know, as a teacher, you know, and they're just like, she's just like, I'm just so thankful. It's so, it feels so welcoming, and I just feel like it can be real, and we can really work and develop this area. And she's telling me that that's the first conversation I'm having with this lady, a point of contact from a different job. But you know what's interesting is that within my job now, everybody looks like me. You know, everybody in my group that's thriving, the reason everybody's asking us questions, why are we so successful, is I think we're the only group in the whole nation, I think, that is all black. And all the ladies who are there, every single lady in our group has dreads, you know, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know if my supervisor made a group, you know, in like-minded, but we flow really well, and it feels good. We're comfortable. We can be, you know, transparent with each other, and the comfortability with that, and we can just thrive. You know, when you work with somebody that you already know, it's already a pleasure. Like, you know, oh, you know, somebody, a friend from back home, they're at a job. You're like, man, we work together. It's like a team. But when you're when you're working with other people who are in the same culture, black, and y'all already have that chemistry, you already can be real and transparent with each other off jump. Even in the work environment, you have so much productivity. People don't understand how it happens, but that's the thing that, you know, we strive for, that it feels good to be in. And that is something that, you know, people just don't generally understand, is like, that's like their own oasis that, you know, hopefully we can eventually strive to in any environment, no matter if it's just black.
Kind of winding down on time a little bit. So I want to get to kind of how we look towards the next generation and generations. And so my question is talking about kind of like survival skills. We've talked about a couple here, as far as, you know, you in a workplace, you got to figure out who to keep an eye on and always have, you know, surroundings in mind. But what are some survival skills that you have, that you've learned, that you would want to pass on? I know for me, I think the biggest one for me is really just, you have to learn how to understand who people really are. You have to be able to have maybe one or two conversations with somebody and know what kind of person they are based on you and your skin color, because unfortunately that's important. So yeah, I think for me, I would really want to pass down, like, you've got to know your surroundings all times. Can't take a day off from not the way we live.
Yeah, isn't that so sad though? Like the fact that we got to teach our kids these things, like, it's heartbreaking.
Just make it successful. That's the only way you can really do that, you know. You always want to warn somebody, you know, even if like you're coming into a new job or something and somebody new, you're like, hey man, I'm gonna just tell you right now, this is how it goes down here. You know, you want to give them the best chance that they have for surviving a job that might be an unhealthy environment, but you know they're there. It's like you can tell them, hey, this is what it is. This is how you're gonna survive. This is how you're gonna thrive. Or, you know, right now you should quit if you don't like it. But obviously we can't, you know, tell our generation to quit. You know, they're here, you know, within life. So it's just like me, I would just say, like, the survival the skills are what I would say Bruce Lee is famous for talking about, is be water, you know. Flow, you know, flow, take the shape understand, be a fly on the wall, adapt, take in culture, take in advice from other people, understand people's frustrations, take in their frustrations, um, and it is how you really survive. But at the same time, when the way you funnel water, it can be still and it can be it can crash, it can literally erode mountains, in the right setting, and it can make big changes. So, not saying that water is, I don't want any black person to say conform, but understanding your environment, where you are, understanding where this is the environment you're in. Okay, this is where you need to be still. All right. But when you have the opportunity where it's funneled, crash, erode, make change, and that's kind of how I live my life, is that I can have a conversation with any person and just, okay, I'm gonna understand this. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about the situation. Let's find a solution, conclusion where we can all be happy or be satisfactory, at least, into what we want or what it is that needs to happen. So being able to understand, sit back, not be angry, not take up arms straight out the out the bat, which a lot of people, you know, end up teaching their young ones about just blind violence and blind aggression and blind hatred is going to be toxic, which ends up ensuing a whole nother generation that we've already had, and even worse, because the liberties and access to information and, all of that is multiplied just every generation. These kids are a different breed from, what we were, these kids are doing crazier stuff than we've ever done, and so it's just like, it can be so dangerous to not teach the right things and instill the right things to future generations. Yeah. So
You said something good there when you was talking about water, as far as the idea that being like water does not mean forming as much as it does surviving. Because I mean, like we tell our women all the time, if it's night outside, park under a street light, go with a buddy, hold your keys a certain way, have some mace on or something, and doing that is not me saying, or it would not be a woman saying, hey, there's creeps out here and I just accept that, and this is how it is and that's okay. You're not conforming to that, but at the same time, I'm not gonna die out here tonight.
The reality,
yeah, I'm gonna make sure I get to where I need to go. So yeah, you're right. It's not conforming. It's this is what I need to do to survive here in this space, in this moment, in this atmosphere. I think that's important to bring home. But Janae, you really was about to say something before I start talking, so I'm sorry. We give you the floor.
I mean, I was gonna add, but if you have more, go.
No, that was all I had.
Okay. I was just gonna say, for me, generationally, and it kind of goes into a couple different things that was already said. But number one, when it comes to work, it would be CYA. I don't know if y'all know this. Cover your ASS, but document everything, save everything, respond to everything. I don't delete emails. I don't delete conversations. If I need to, I will screenshot it and save it, because there's always, because for me at my current workplace, I am the only Black person. Um, and so I'm by myself often, in many different aspects. And so I'm the first person blamed and I'm the last person to be believed. And so I'm constantly saving and making sure to cover myself as I go, because I already know the second something goes wrong, something goes missing, they're coming for me first. If there is an issue, if there is a screw up, they're not going to go to the responsible parties. They're coming to me to see what role did I have. So I'm always like, nope, here it is. Here's the email. Send. Da da da. But you kind of hit on it, Dom. I'm a Black woman, so not only do I have Black rules for safety, I also have women rules for safety, and so literally I have a plethora of things that I have to do on a daily basis, just trying to get from my house to my car to make sure that I survive that. So really, there's a whole lot of advice I could give there. Um, um, but one of the things that I definitely want to make sure that I teach my children when I have some, because I don't got none right now, but when I have some, is really just the importance of knowing your surroundings and letting people know your intentions, if that makes sense. Um, for example, one thing that my mom always taught me: if you get pulled over by the police, I don't care if it's for something slight, you call somebody. You call somebody immediately. You make sure that you're very descriptive with your words. The police officer don't need to know that you're on the phone, but you call somebody and you make sure that that they can hear what is going on. That way, you're like, is documented, you know what I mean, you have a witness and that kind of thing. And I think that that carries over into so many different aspects, for me at least, because I'm always like, I forget who said it, but I'm always aware, whether it's just walking in my neighborhood at night, or going in a grocery store, because there's so many different things. There's stalkers, there's crazy people, there's racists, there's all these different things that I have to look out for. And for me, it's not necessarily conscious anymore, but it's even the unconscious things that I have to like be aware of. Okay, I saw this person on aisle 2 and 4. If I go on 5 and they're still there, I'm screaming for help. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
being preventative and things like that, making sure, like, when I'm walking into my house, I'm never loud. I don't come in loud because I don't want my neighbors to know when I'm coming and going. I don't want anybody who's driving past to like draw attention to the fact that I'm just walking in the house, because they may see me walking in the house and say, oh, well, she's alone, or those kind of things. So all those different things are things that I want to pass down, because not only do they have to do with being Black, and especially in white spaces, but also just being a woman in general, because the world is dangerous for us. And I think a lot of the things that I've learned weren't necessarily by trial and error, but they really were out of um, I guess, necessity, trying to survive in spaces that aren't made for me, and being aware that, listen, I'm going to go into this job. I'm the only Black person. They are not coming to help me. So, how are you going to help yourself? And like being constantly aware of that fact when I go into spaces with people who don't look like me.
So one of the things that you said, talking about like being mindful of your environment and surroundings. And I don't know that that's why, but as soon as you said it, like the first thing that came to mind is like how frustrated, irritated, mad I get when like I'm in a grocery store, and it is not just Black people, anybody who isn't paying attention to it. You know those people like they're pushing the carts and they're looking this way, walking, pushing their cart. Like it blows my mind, and I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that I feel like I have no choice but to look where I'm going because I could mess around and bump into the wrong white person if I'm not paying attention, and it'd
I
be
don't
a
even
crazy
think it's
day.
intentional, though, to be honest. And I think, for me, this is personal opinion, I feel like that is a consequence of slavery, because we're built that way because we had to. You make one wrong move, you weren't allowed to be absent minded for any amount of time, because that could literally be your life. Like, we look at, rest in peace, Emmett Till. He didn't do anything that was unusual. He didn't do anything that was, outlandish or huge, and he lost his life because of it. And for us, for over 400 years, that's what we had to do. We don't get the luxury of being absent-minded in public, because that could literally be life or death for us.
That's true, and we don't. I mean, we know of all the big stories as far as lynchings and killings. Like we know stories of Emmett Till, but we don't. I think we can never truly have an understanding of how much that kind of stuff, how often it happened, and think of things like generational trauma and stuff that gets passed down. Yeah, it makes perfect sense that we're just kind of hardwired to always pay attention. Like even before 2014, when I really started paying attention to my blackness, paying attention to my surroundings was just like a given anyway. It was just like you just do it, you know. And like you said, it bothered me to see people that I could tell you don't know anything that's going on around you right now. How are you making it? Like, how do you do that? What is that like? Yeah, I agree. I think it is something kind of hardwired.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are hardwired into all people, and I think that as Black people, there's a lot of trauma that's been generated, but I also think that there's a lot of strength. One of the more common themes that I recognize in at least one thing that everybody has said tonight is we just keep figuring out new ways to thrive and survive. Like no matter what, like the generation changes, but our ingenuity doesn't. Like we're still about to figure it out. We're about to make it, and you can't stop me. Like period. And I think that that's. I think I think that's what it means to be black. To just keep on keeping on, and not just to keep going, but to survive and thrive, and to be innovative despite everything that we deal with on far too. But yeah, so we're about to close. There's a couple things that y'all might have been prepared to go into and really wanted to, but we're not gonna have the time for that. Um, but what we like to do is have final thoughts, which is where we give our guests 60 seconds to share what it is that they would want any and all viewers to take away from the conversation. What we've been doing in Black History Month, giving our guests a little bit more time because you may have something that you want to address specifically to Black people and then to other cultures. But if not, that's cool. But yeah, just final thoughts, 60 seconds to tell us, well, to tell what you want them to take away from the conversation. And let's go, ladies first.
Oh man, I was hoping not. The one time.
Okay, well then let's go. Let's go, guys first.
Yeah, honestly, just my final thoughts on just this whole situation, and it's I like talking and having educated conversations with people on TikTok, Instagram, and different things. Just in comments with random people who just say maybe something ignorant, we just don't understand. It's just like understanding that being black, um, it's a pride thing. It's a pride. We love everybody who's black loves being black. But at the same time, it's a struggle within understanding who we are. Understanding it's for people for black people to understand as well. We can't have other black people walking around ignorant, not understanding the difference between you know color of skin and uh, race and culture. Like there's all different types of things where people are confusing the different ethnic groups with a color of skin. You know what I'm saying? And it's people just understanding that and misinterpreting is that I would say just understanding ourselves to people who are black, get a full understanding of who you are, what do you represent, where do you stand, what do you take pride in, and who you are, and are you willing to keep going forward? That's just my saying. And for the people who aren't, is to really take a true understanding. I never tell people to take a mile in your shoes because you can't ever do that. I can never take a mile in somebody else's shoes. Honestly, even if my mind, I couldn't do it because your brain and your dreams are composing of things that you have experiences in. Your dream can't give you anything that you haven't seen before already. And so understanding, trying, getting our best to just be open-minded, not trying to understand us on your own, but just being open-minded and being open to conversations, because open conversations will lead to understanding. That's it.
All right, you ready?
I'm not, but whatever comes out,
Huh?
it's just gonna it's fine. But really, my final thoughts, and one is kind of silly, but I really feel like I need to say it. And this is for, I guess, Black people and outside non-Black people as well, but really for non-Black people, stay out of Black women's business. All 2021, stay out. And I say that because as a Black woman, we are the most disenfranchised group in America. We get our culture and our stolen from us the most. We get um, abused mentally, emotionally, physically the most. And what I would love to see in general is just people uplifting Black women. Um, if you look at anything that Black people have achieved, Black women have been a part of it. If you look at anything that um, just in general, like just there's so many different, like, we are everywhere. We are the most educated group of people in America currently and hold that title very tightly, yet we don't get the same respect as our counterparts in race or in gender. And I think that if we want to uplift America and make it as great as we say it should be, that the key is to reach down into the lowest of low to get the people who are the most disenfranchised, and that is Black women. I think the more that we uplift Black women, the more that we uplift Black culture, that we uplift American culture. And if we want to be as great and beautiful and live up to everything that the founders of America said, that it starts with Black women. And yeah, that's it.
Good. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
And
Good. You following that?
real quick, sorry, just to go along with
Oh,
that.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
And it's just to kind of explain the initial comments, stay out of Black women's business. I mean that when I say stop telling us how to and how not to be. Just allow us to be and uplift us in that. That's what I mean by stay out of our business. We're constantly being told you're too much or you're not enough of this, and just stay out of our business. Just allow us to do us and help where you can. That's it.
Turn it up. Yeah. I guess I'm gonna try to follow that. I don't know.
You're easier to follow.
So for me, I think I really want to drive home that even though we touched on some rougher things tonight, this was not some sort of like pity party for Black folks. This is not something to say, hey, feel bad for us, or we need this, or whatever. But to understand as much as you can understand, you have to be aware that these are the things that we have to do. And but also be aware of the fact that, like we said, starting this thing out, there's a strength and there is pride that comes with the skin. And whoever you believe your creator is, if you believe that there is a creator, they gave us this skin knowing that these are the problems you were going to face in your life, probably to the day that you die. You're strong enough to do it, though. So, with every hardship that we talked about tonight, remember that we are still thankful for who we are. And I want to drive that home to any Black people watching to be thankful for who you are, to understand who you are, and to move in that strength and that power that's inherent to us.
So I'm gonna stall for 30 seconds because Dom just took mine.
Oh, dang, I'm sorry.
Oh man, it's okay. I should have went first. That's what I get for not going first. I want you to take what he said. What I want you to take from the conversation: Black people overcome. Started as something that we had to do, but to go back to what you said earlier when you referenced the great brother Kanye West about slavery being a choice, and your agreement, and I said I agree. It is a choice because you can still be a slave today, and the fact that there are still people, black, white, whatever, in trapped in old school mindsets and things like that. I feel like we today, especially, are more choosing to overcome than just having to. I mean, granted, we have to, but there's a lot of intentionality, and I think that that's indicative of how much strength, the fact that no matter what has happened, we keep fighting, knowing that according to history and everything that we see, it's all rigged against us, right? And we're still fighting and still trying to make things better. And not just because we have to, but like for people like me, I enjoy being a part of change. And so I think that's what I would want to be taken away from this conversation. The fact that we will overcome. There are a variety of ways that can happen. And I think that for this part specifically for other people, not just white ones, but other people, your participation in our overcoming determines how we overcome. And I'm
Leave it on that.
like, I wanted to say something different, but I feel like that wasn't as aggressive as maybe it sounded. Like, maybe it was.
That's it.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you both for joining us for this. It's been a joy. It's been fun. Like how you were saying earlier, Joe, go to a place of work with people that you know. Cool. Like I don't know y'all, and this was still cool, and that's just flat. You know what I mean? And so I appreciate it. I enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing your perspective. Yeah, for all of y'all out there, thank you for. Hope you learned as much as you did, and I hope that inspires you to conversation. As always, head on over to all of our pages, like them, turn the notifications, ready for us to go live again tomorrow, the next day, the day, starting again next week. Did I open? I'm gonna close us into prayer, and then we're gonna roll. Normally we have. I don't know what's going on. Jesus, we just thank you for this opportunity to gather and hear from each other and learn from each other and find out more about ourselves as other people. Pray that the perspectives they didn't even pray. Amen.
And amen. All right, y'all. Again, thanks for coming out with us in the show. Back tomorrow, so stay tuned and see you.